I know a lot of you guys start out just calling agents and blasting LOIs, and I think that is a great way to start, right? If you need just like, how do I get started now, today? That is a phenomenal way to start. But I'm just telling you, those deals are the hardest to close. They're the hardest to monetize because they're listed on the market, right? Plus, you're not talking directly to the seller. They're always going to be a challenge. But again, I'm not discouraging you to do it, but what I'm encouraging you to do is do exactly what Corey did. Corey started looking for these leads. He came across this one, and initially, and Corey can tell you a little bit more later, but to summarize, this lead, the seller, like they had going through a divorce in a bad spot, and initially they had somebody else who was going to go buy the house from them. And I'm going to show you another example of this today, but guys, those could be the best ones to be like, hey, and me and Mike Van Maren are going to do a call today on this one in Cheyenne where they already got an offer, and I'm going to go call her and show you guys how I set up the follow-up, right? But what Corey did is, even though these people were under contract, he still kept building rapport. He still kept checking in with them. And man, I'm telling you guys, when I did this call with them, they have so much trust in Corey because Corey's been himself, and he's shown just genuine interest. He's been a good listener. Like we talk about on so many of these negotiations, you just need to listen and understand their situation, right? And Corey just genuinely wanted to help these people. So when Corey brought this lead last week, he's like, hey, and we got on the phone with them. We found out that they're basically the wholesaler that they were working with couldn't find a buyer. And these people are down to the last week. So a week from today, if they don't come up with $52,000, they're going to get foreclosed on and lose the house, right? And go through all that other pain of a foreclosure. But what we did is Corey got him on the call with me last Friday. We started talking to him. We're like, immediately we thought, and Corey thought of this when I talked about the Revive method. So to slow down and answer the initial question from Mike, what is the Revive method? Well, the Revive method is a perfect example here. Let me show you guys numbers. I'm going to share my screen just for a second. Okay, so guys, this is a tool that I shared with everybody last week, the Revive method profit share template. So I shared this with everybody. If you don't still have it, let me hear. Actually, Clint, will you share my contact info so we can make sure anybody who didn't get it, we can get it to them? All right, but let's go over here, scroll over here and look at this one. Oh man, of course I got the wrong template. Hold on. I want to show you guys the breakdown of this deal because we started to break it down, and I think it's the perfect example. One last second. I thought that was the right one, but I got a lot of Google Sheets in here. I'll tell you that. There it is, bingo. All right, so this is the deal that we've been working, right? So when we started to talk, I want to talk you through like how do we structure this deal and how we literally structured it. Guys, we're under contract. We're going to close this thing next Friday, and it's going to be, when you guys see the numbers, you're going to see why this is so exciting. So they owe on this house that's about to go foreclosure next Friday, they owe $275, or that's actually after we catch up, it's roughly 50. See this number down here? This 52,000, I'm going to highlight this in yellow. Okay. This is how far they are in arrears. If they don't come up with 52K, which these guys don't have 52,000, not many people do, laying around, it's going to get foreclosed on. But if you look at what the house is worth, here's the sale price, guys. And this is after we fix it, right? So we think it could sell from anywhere from 620 to 780. And I know that's a really big range, but I like to be very transparent with the seller, be like, hey, this is what we could sell it for. So let me talk about a novation, right? A novation is simply figuring out a price that works for the seller. So in this case, maybe the seller's like, hey, if I could just get 500,000 out of the house and get it in 60 days, I would be okay. In this situation, a novation doesn't work because they're going to be foreclosed on next week, right? And I'm not catching up $50,000 in arrears and only relying upon a novation contract. Because guys, a novation contract it's a great contract when you're not putting a bunch of money into the property. If you're just going in and maybe cleaning it up, or a lot of times you're not doing anything other than just repositioning it and going and selling it to someone else, right? And putting it on the market. But in a deal where you got to put a lot of money into it, like 50,000, like I'm not relying upon a novation contract. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to close this property and change the deed, right? So it's a sub-2 flip in a way, right? We're going to go take over this existing loan for $275,000 before next Friday. We're going to close, and by close I mean the deed is going to change over to my LLC's name at the same time through the title company, right? We always do this through title company. And then we're going to bring in the $52,000 to catch them up, right? That's going to save them. Okay. So now let's talk about like, how are we going to make money and how do the numbers look? And if you guys Guys, I'm gonna share another link with you guys too. Clint, let me know the best way to get this out to the community. But we recorded both of these calls. I recorded the first one last Friday because we tried to do it on Problems to Profits, but it was on like 4 hours after we got started. So we still recorded the initial conversation with the seller when we first pitched it, right? But then when I went back, okay, I'm going too fast here. I want to slow down a little bit. So guys, the sequence was Corey he told me the motivation, right? These people are going to be foreclosed on. But Corey, kind of where he started with was Corey's like, I don't want to just lowball these guys, right? They had an offer for like around 450,000. Supposedly somebody was going to come buy it, but whether somebody's actually going to buy it for 450 in 7 days, I have my doubts, right? But Corey's kind of like, man, I don't want to lowball these guys around 400 to 450 on this house and then go wholesale it or do whatever. Corey's like, I genuinely want to help these people. I want to give them more money. So that's where the light bulb came on of the revive method. So what the revive method allows us to do is we can actually go pay them more by closing the property, fixing it up, and selling the property for its full value, right? So rather than having to go wholesale this thing to another investor, we're going to flip it ourselves. And when we flip it and make a profit, we're going to pay the seller on the back end. So guys, that's kind of in a nutshell what the revive method is. It's we close on the property, we get the deed, we protect ourselves, right? We also, by changing the deed, we give ourselves the flexibility to bring in a private money lender, which I'm going to show you in a second. And then we go and fix up the property. And then when we're all done, that's when the seller gets paid, okay? So let me show you this with numbers. This is exactly how it's set up, guys. So I told the seller when I was going through this with Corey and we recorded this, I'm like, hey guys, I need to put 170,000 or 170 is my number that I need to basically budget into this. So I said 170, that's gonna catch up the 52,000 in arrears, and it's also gonna pay for the rehab. And I'm also gonna build a profit in there. I'm gonna be transparent, right? For me to go spend all my time doing this deal, coordinating contractors, jumping through all these hoops, like we're gonna make sure that we're gonna make a profit, right? But we're transparent. Like I told on that call, I'm like, guys, this 170, I've got some cushion built in. But I told these sellers too, I'm like, but guys, this is the cap, right? I'm not coming back to you and asking for more. Like 170 is got my cushion in there, it's got my profit. So you know what that number is. Because as you guys look at all these numbers, what I tell my seller is like, the only unknown we have, or the big unknown I would say, is the sale price. And that's why I have these different scenarios of 620, 660, right? And I show the sellers in each one of those scenarios, how much are they going to make, right? So this final number is the total purchase price. So working down, let me just break this down for you. This is their loan amount. Let's kind of go with the medium case, because the medium case is where we think that's kind of based on, I mean, it's a high and low. Let's take the average, right? So 275 is their loan amount. And let's forward think about when I go to sell this property in like 3 months and I fixed it up, we sell it to our end buyer, okay? So at that point, the first 170,000, well, I should say the first 275 has got to pay off the sub 2 loan, right? Because we're taking over an existing loan. After 275, then the next 170 is going to come back to me. So in that 170, I'm going to pay myself back all the money I put in. I'm actually going to pay back my private money lender who finances a big chunk of this. And then I'm going to build in my profit and everything into that, right? So the next number is the holding costs. I estimate this for the seller, right? I'm saying, and I just based this on like how much I said, what did I say? 1,600. And this is based on 6 months. See this number here in this cell? That's how many months. Like, I don't think we're going to need to hold it that long. Like if you change this to 3, and this is the beauty of this sheet, right? You can edit it, right? So it's a little bit less, but I just said, all right, let's say we got to hold this thing for 6 months. Okay. Now, when we go to sell it, we're going to have closing costs, right? Oops, that messed it up. What did I do there? Hold on. I messed up my sheet. Okay. There we go. Now we're back. I fixed it. Okay. Okay. So anyway, the closing costs are, I estimated 5% closing costs, right? Because we're going to have to pay agents when we sell this thing, right? So then we look at the sales price. And then let's talk about now the profit share. This is where it comes into kind of the negotiating and you playing with the numbers, right? So what I like to do with my sellers, rather than saying, hey, 50-50, I'm like, I want to get them more money. I want to make this make sense for them so that I can make money on the flip and then I make some money on the back end. So I literally, maybe I was being too generous, but I'm like, I want to give you, seller, 80% of the leftover profit after the loan's paid off, after I get paid back my 170 for the construction, the catch up, everything I put into it, after holding costs, closing costs, after all that said, they get 80% of what's left, right? So that profit to the seller is 200,000. And what I like to do is show them what that total purchase price. So this number here in green, this is simply adding the loan amount, right? Plus the profit they get on the back end. So in this scenario, guys, they're going to make $476,000, right? And that's higher than any offers they currently have. That's better than what Corey, back to the beginning when Corey's like, I don't want to, he just didn't feel right basically making these people fire sell their house for 400 or 450. So what we're basically saying is that, hey, if we go fix this and we sell it at the market value that we think we can, we could end up giving this seller 476 to 507. And guys, this is all, again, if you go watch the call, you can see how I do this live, but this is what I'm having them focus on. I'm like, hey guys, you could go try and fire sell your house right now for 400 to 450. Or if you could wait, let me go invest my money into it. And this is how you make 450 in the middle case. This is in the high case, you could make over 500,000. So does that make sense how I'm kind of framing this up for them? Incentivizing them to do this deal and make more money, because as you guys know, or maybe you don't know, when you go to sell a house that needs work, if you have to sell it and it's not ready and it can't get financing, you're going to have to take a big discount because every investor is going to want a discount, right? But because we're going to go sell this to the end retail buyer, we're going to go sell this to a nice family or whoever, maybe it doesn't have to be a family, but we're going to go sell this to somebody who can get long-term financing and the house is ready to go. It can qualify for FHA, conventional, whatever financing it needs. That way we can get top dollar for this house, okay? So anyway, I wanted to break down the numbers of this deal, and this is exactly how we structured it. So to kind of catch you guys up from last Friday, so Corey brings the deal. I'm like, Corey, this is perfect for the Revive method, right? We get on the call Friday afternoon with the seller, and then I did not share the spreadsheet originally. I just shared it with the seller, and I just said, hey, her name's Molly. Hey, Molly, I've got a way to get you more money, and I can catch up your arrears. And basically, that first call, I'm pretty much, it was fact-finding, right? I was asking questions. I'm like, when do you have to have this paid off by? How much is it? What happened with your last buyer? Like, and kind of just built some rapport, right? And then I told the next step from that call Friday was, hey, Molly, we need to get back on a call with you and your husband because they're going through a divorce and we got to get everybody on the same page. But like, let's get back on a call and then let's run through the numbers and let me show this spreadsheet with you. So guys, that's what I did on Wednesday night when I first got to Boston. Me and Corey hopped on a Zoom call and we used Riverside and we talked to the husband and the wife. We broke this down, showed them how much they could make, talked through kind of the structure, how the deed was going to change. They had some other objections, which we can get into later if we want. But ultimately, at the end of the day, because Corey found a great lead, he built trust with them, we had a problem to solve, and now we're going to close this deal, guys. So we're under contract. The next step, man, I'm going fast here. I'm going to check the questions before I go into like the next steps after we get under contract. So any questions so far, guys? Let me go to the chat. Maybe if I can find it. Here we go. Okay. Go back in here. Okay, no quite. Okay, so is this partnering with you or wholesaling? Oh, good question on Dustin. Great question. So, the way we're structuring this one is because I'm going to be the one actually fixing and flipping it. We're actually, our plan with Corey, and I talked to Corey. I'm like, hey, Corey, do you want to try to just wholesale this, or should we go try to basically flip this and you can make a profit on the back end? So what we're going to do is Corey wants to learn the process, right? And he wants to do it with us and learn alongside it. So Corey's actually just going to make a small little profit share on the back end is our plan. So it's a really cool way to partner with students. And guys, that's why I'm sharing this is like, we've been doing this Zoom for I think about 15 weeks and you guys are always bringing leads, right? But I'm just encouraging you to like keep bringing them, because when we find something like this, like not only Corey's going to learn the whole process right alongside me, but he's also going to profit in the back end, right? And he's going to get it's a really cool way to do this. So anyway, good question there. Let me make sure if I haven't had any other ones. I'm going to keep moving, guys, but if you have any other questions, just let me know. And Clint, Clint, you can interrupt me at any point if you get a question you think I should stop on.
Yeah, Mike Evans, did you get your question answered on how do you stop the foreclosure sale? Did you catch how Casey did that?
I didn't catch that. That'd be the first thing you had to do, right?
Yeah, good question. Okay, let me answer that one. Okay, so to stop the foreclosure, we've got to catch it up, right? You know what? Yeah, I'm going to go right into that one, Mike. And you know what? I keep doing this to you guys, but actually that's going to come into the next steps into the next week once I get under contract. So I'm going to answer that one just a second. But go ahead, okay. Mike, you also had one. Did you want to ask another one, Mike? Go ahead. I think Mike's getting off mute. Go ahead, Mike.
Are you talking about me, Mike?
Yeah.
Usually a couple, Mike. Yeah, I just put it in the chat. So you put 170K for rehab. You have crews in Wyoming. How is it you're able to estimate rehab in Vancouver? And I'm sure, because I know I'm in Bellevue, and construction costs are 2 or 3 times what a lot of other markets are. How do you get comfortable with that 170K?
Yeah, the quick answer is I build a huge cushion in, right? Like, okay. It's not actually a huge job. It does sound like it needs probably a roof, but the rest of it's just cleanup. And I mean, yeah, I feel like I've got a potentially like 50 to 60,000 of extra.
So basically you've done enough deals that you have a sense of what it takes to do certain types of rehab work, and with that experience you're able to make that call, whereas without having that experience it'd be a little tricky.
Yeah, like guys, these are rules of thumbs. I won't, well, probably too deep, but like, yeah, I'm like, in my head, I'm assuming that with a roof and some of this cleanup, we're looking at, honestly, like if it was my company doing it, I think we would cost us around maybe 30,000. I'm gonna assume there's more stuff. I'm assuming we're gonna uncover. Okay, based on what they've told me, I'm gonna assume 30K, right? But I think it could balloon to 50. But even if it balloons to 100, there's still enough profit in there.
Got it.
To make it
great. Thanks.
Yep. And that's gonna get into the due diligence part. So yeah, I'll jump into that now, guys. So basically, or actually, sorry, manual. Did you have another one too? I think it's a manual. Feel free to go if you want. No, I'm gonna look at, okay, cool. And Corey's kind of chime in a little bit on kind of how it works and how we did it, right? So yeah, I'm just gonna read Corey's comment. So last Friday, Casey asked if he wanted to handle the deal by myself or partner with him. So I asked him if I could do the deal with him and learn. This way he can make sure not to make the mistake. Yeah, that's a really good point, Corey. As well as make sure that the homeowner is taken care of. Though he'll make a little bit less in the long term, he's gonna learn and he's ultimately gonna help some people. So yeah, guys, that's what's cool about really having perspective, guys. Like I love that about this community. I think Pace sets the example for it of like, we're looking long-term, right? You're learning now for making money later is so valuable. Go ahead, John. I know you just raised your hand.
Yeah, I was noticing you had a WY profits in there. I didn't understand what that was for.
Yep, all that was my 20%. And I'll save you going back to my screen share. But yeah, that was my 20% of what I would make. So yeah, good point, John. I didn't even bring that up, right? I built my profit into the split of the construction, and that's my little profit, extra profit on the back end.
So with the 170,000 that you built in profit for your rehab for yourself, and then the WY profit is your profit as an investor profit.
Bingo. Yep.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, it's a great way to look at it. Yep. So we try to make money in multiple ways. Cool. All right, man, I'm going too deep in this, but hopefully it's been a good case study for you guys. So now let me talk about, you guys want to hear about what we're doing now that we're under contract and how we actually going to close this by Friday and avoid foreclosure and also protect and answer a lot of these questions. Okay. Right. So my initial questions, I think I talked to Corey about this, but so if I'm thinking, all right, because guys, I've done deals before that looked really, really good. And I'm like, and I've lost money and it's not fun. Okay. So these like immediately in my radar goes off of inspections, right? Has there been an inspection? So me and Corey got to talking and we're like, okay, did these last buyers get an inspection? They did. So that's one of the things we're working on. Like, let's go get a hold of that. Even if we got to go pay for it, like, let's make, because my biggest thing, and it goes back to Mike's point about like, how comfortable are you with that budget? Well, if it's only cleaning up the backyard and a roof and like mostly cosmetic cleanup, then I'm good, right? But if they've got like knob and tube wiring or a HVAC system that needs to be replaced, or heaven forbid foundation issues, like that's the biggest deal killer, right? So if it doesn't have any of those, then that's my first like big check. I need to make sure that, right? The other one is the title work and the foreclosure, right? So we talked last Friday on it to be like, hey, when is the foreclosure? How much time? How does all that work, right? And fortunately, guys, if they hadn't started any title work on this, it would definitely be a lot more stressful and even a stretch to get it done in literally like a week, right? And that's a whole nother thing, guys, is like, the nice thing about this is we were able to create urgency, because a lot of times people, man, drives me nuts. And you guys should just know this, right? When you're working deals, people just don't have the urgency. And often that's why they're in the situation they're in, right? Is they don't have the urgency they should have. But fortunately in this one, these people knew we've got a week, so we had to move fast, right? But back to the title company. Luckily, the title company has already started some of the work. So we're like, first things first, we got to go start talking to this title company and get up to speed, because I got to make darn sure we have clean title before I go put $50,000 into this deal, right? And that's, now I'll go into the private money lender. So guys, if I got to catch up 50,000 in arrears, and let's say my cost is about 30,000, let's call it 50 to be conservative. I'm going to, and you know what? Let me show you guys this. You guys will love this. I'm going to share my screen for a second. You guys might get some bonus time today. I'm just going to have to eat lunch in the other room. Okay, so let me show you this. Okay, so now let's think about like underwriting this as a private money lender. So when I go pitch this to my private money lender, I want to borrow probably 100,000, right? And you guys, if you're any private money lenders on the call? If so, raise your hand and you guys could tell me, is this how you guys would think, right? What I'm gonna do the quick math here. You guys can see my screen. So the quick math is, if the first loan plus, say I get $100,000 to catch up arrears and pay for my rehab. So that is, did I do that right? 100, is that 10 or 100? 1, 0, 100, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so guys, this is the total debt on the property, right? That would be how much debt is going into it. So with my first position is the sub 2 loan, second position is my investor, my private money lender's 100K. That's in second position, right? Now let's do the math, guys. Divide this by the total sale price. Once we're done, let's see what percentage that is. 50%. Did I do that right? Wow. That's how well the private money lender is protected, guys, because this is the first position and this seller would be paid after that, right? Because the way, guys, this is structured, and it's in the contract, like everything is at this at closing, is when we sell, the 275 right here gets paid first. I mentioned that earlier, right? Next is the 170. But out of that 170, I'm obviously going to be paying, the person I'm paying back is my private money lender plus their interest rate, right? But this is why I have so much success bringing in private money lenders in these deals, because they're like, wait, so the total debt on this is 53% of the value? Like, that's really safe. Like 70% is genuinely, like, rule of thumb, a good safe metric when you're a private money lender, right? But if they're at 53%, so does that make sense, guys, how I'm gonna fund this deal? I'm gonna bring in a private money lender to fund 100K. We'll probably pay like 12% on this deal. We don't do points just because we do so many deals, but I got a lot of private money lenders that are like, you know what? I'm protected. Even though I'm in second, it's a 53% loan to value, and I get 12%, and I'm working with an experienced operator like Casey, and they'll do that all day, right? And again, not everybody has been raising money as long, and that's actually coming up. Well, you guys know me, I'm going all over the place, but can I get a quick in the chat? Would you guys like me to do a next week or the following week? I've had it on my list to talk about raising private money and working with private money lenders. Would that be a helpful call for you guys? I kind of gave you about a 5-minute one. Okay, cool. I'm seeing some of them. Cool. All right. I figured the answer was yes. But anyway, that's kind of what I'm teeing up for the next couple weeks. But anyway, so back to the deal, how I'm structuring it. So we're going to close with the title company. But my other concern, right? So I said my first concern was due diligence on the inspections, right? And my rehab budget, right? And making sure that those are solid, right? The other thing is making sure we have clear title, because again, and I'll tell you guys what they requested. They're like, well, we don't want to be off title. And I was thinking about doing a contract for deed. In a contract for deed, I'm getting into the weeds here right now, but like they were worried about transferring the title. Let's just say this. The way I overcame the objection of them wanting to stay on title, I'm like, guys, it's way too risky. You guys are going through a divorce. The last thing I'm going to do, because I've been through this before, is go execute this contract, use my private money lender, which actually I couldn't even use it would be very difficult to use a private money lender on a contract for deed. It could be done, but it's just more messy, right? And I don't want to subject myself or my private money lender to the risk of, well, let's say these two people they're going through a divorce. They're in this situation, right? They're $50,000 behind. More bad shit could happen, right? So I'm going to be very careful and make sure that the title closes, right? So back to the title work, I'm making sure that I get clear title before I wire any money on this deal, right? And back to the title company point of like having a head start. The nice thing is this title company's already started figuring out what documents need to be signed. I'm sure they're already working through any divorce stuff, or those are boxes we're going to check to make sure. Anyway, just when you guys go through divorces and those situations, there's sometimes extra title paperwork you got to do, right? So that's number 2, right? Is verifying clear title. The next one is this value, right? Like this 620 to 660 to 700, right? Guys, even though I'm super well protected, I do want to make sure that it's going to be profitable for everybody. So that's why me and Corey are working on finding an agent in this market, which, by the way, if Mike or anybody else knows anybody up in Vancouver, Washington, a good flipping agent, let us know. We're doing some interviewing now. But we want to find a good agent. And when I'm going to slow down just for a second. So the way I think, guys, when I want to go find this agent is I want to find somebody who's worked with fix and flippers, who knows the market, right? And I'm going to ask him a lot of questions around, hey, tell me about some deals tell me about some fix and flippers you've worked with. I'll probably actually call those fix and flippers and be like, is this actually, I mean, every agent, maybe not every agent, some agents don't like working with investors, but most hungry agents are like, yeah, I work with investors all the time. I'm investor friendly. I get it, right? But does this agent, are they willing to go walk this property? Because you guys might also be asking, okay, Casey is in Houston. Most of his operations are in Montana, Wyoming. Have I ever flipped a property in Washington State? No. Have I ever done anything in Oregon or anything even close to out there? No. But I am confident I can find the right agent who knows that market. Guys, I've done it across the state of Wyoming. Like the way I was able to go statewide and go into Montana is anytime we found a deal, I just went and found a good agent, right? And if you find a good agent who knows comps and can be your boots on the ground, because guys, that's going to be my other big request is I'm going to ask that agent, hey, I need you to not only help me find contractors, but I want you to go and make sure that they're doing a good job. And maybe you guys are thinking that there aren't agents who will do all that, but at least in my experience, I've been able to find them. So anyway, that agent is not only going to help me with the fix and flip, but he's going to help verify that these numbers, these sale price numbers are accurate, right? Because the last thing I want to do is what I don't know in this area of Vancouver is this one little neighborhood or one little pocket that like all of a sudden, or maybe it's on a busy street, or maybe there's something weird about this town, and then that area, you can't sell a house. Like, I don't know that, and I could try to go look that up on Zillow, but I want to get that from a local agent, somebody who knows the market, right? And that's because I'm just telling you from all these stories or all these learnings come from doing deals in other markets where all the numbers look great, right? But then you didn't realize that, oh crap, well, that's on that part of town. They've had a bunch of foundation issues and sellers or buyers are scared to buy there, right? To recap it, guys, those are my 3 kind of due diligence things that I'm literally condensing into a week so we can close this deal. It's getting the inspection, right? And if we can't find the inspections, we'll get somebody out there, right? Number 2 is verifying the title work is ready to go. And my team started on that yesterday with Corey. Like they were like, hopefully Corey can vouch for this, but I got my whole team on it. I got my TC, I got my lead acquisition person, like, let's jump on this and make sure we have clear title, right? And then number 3 is verifying the value, okay? So what questions you guys have so far on this deal? And hopefully I answered exactly how we're gonna do it in a week. And maybe to answer Mike, I think it was Mike's original question, as far as paying it off, like we're literally just working with a mortgage company and figuring out what is the exact payoff you need to avoid foreclosure. And I'll tell you one other thing, like the foreclosure is set for next Friday. We will be ahead of this and wiring money probably Wednesday because you don't want to wait till Friday to wire the money. Otherwise, it's super stressful and bad stuff can happen. So we're going to be ahead of it, make sure that it's paid off probably by Wednesday, Thursday. That way we're good to go. But yeah, good question. Let's let Corey answer that. So Corey, any other things you want to add? And Mike had a good question. Corey, how did you find this seller?
So, like I said in the beginning, when I did my introduction, I joined Sub 2 at the end of August. Like I said, I have 2 construction companies, but I also forgot to say that I also do commercial fishing. So I was in Northern Canada doing commercial fishing. I didn't get home until September 18th. And I started watching Sub 2 classes that very next day, the 19th. And then the beginning of the following week, I started creating my own list. I went to auction.com, started looking up free people search sites, started searching the names, creating my own list, and I was staying up till late at night. And I made my first call on Tuesday, the 24th. And this lead, Mally, I talked to her for 2 minutes on the 24th, and she told me that they already had a deal. And I said that based upon what I'd learned over the couple of days of watching classes, I said, well, that's great. That's awesome. I hope that it works out. I said, but a lot of these deals follow through. I said, is it possible if I could just keep in contact with you and, call you every once in a while? And she said, yes. And 2 days later, she called me and she was not happy with what was happening. So the deal they had, someone was going to buy the house for like $493,000. And they were going to flip it, but they never told Mally and her ex-husband that. And then they started finding that out. It was supposed to close October 3rd. And so again, I said, listen, can I keep in contact with you? Now, the thing that's key, I think that you guys should realize here, I was going through a lot of personal stuff in my personal life at that time. I had been out of town for over 6 weeks. Me and my wife were having some marriage issues ourselves. That has been fixed, and I am also in the process of going through a lawsuit with my construction companies and dealing with lawyers for settling. I also, in between all of this time, you know, since being in Canada and we love to hunt, I had to go away to hunt. And so through following up with Mally, I just would send her a text. And so at the end of August, my wife had a hip replacement surgery. And on her, that week was her 4-week from recovery. And on that Thursday, the doctor found an infection in my wife's leg and they rushed her into emergency surgery. And thank goodness the infection was very low into her leg. It didn't go right into the joint, but they kept her in the hospital for a week. And so when I had that follow-up conversation with Mally, she told me she can't get a hold of the wholesaler that is doing the deal. And so over the weekend, I didn't talk to her. And I was like, well, because I was dealing with my wife and visiting her in the hospital and dealing with my kids. And so I said on a Sunday night, as I was driving to bring some food to my wife and visit her in the hospital, I sent the text and I gave her 4 different options. And you know, she thanked me for it, and she liked that I did that. She was more worried about my wife than us doing a deal. That was another example of me building the rapport. And so every couple of days we were just keeping in contact. They ended up signing an extension with this other company because they promised that they can find somebody. And they ended up finding somebody, a husband and wife, that were going to buy the place as is. And I just, over the next couple of weeks, just kept in contact, checking in. I go, how are things going? And then what happened is she told me early last week that the end buyer couldn't get credit. But before that, the end buyer wanted them to make these repairs and still sell it for the same price. And so Mally, the wife, was like, why would we do that? We're going to lose way more money. And so I'm like, okay. I said, maybe. She goes, I like your my 4th option. And the 4th option was that I would lend her the money to get caught up on the mortgage with the deal that we would sell the property and I would get a percentage. But I didn't even know, like, what percentage should I ask? Should I do 50-50 or whatever? And so last Friday, when I got on the class with Casey, this is the 2nd class that I had ever come on with Casey, and he was talking about it, and I was actually late in the class. And when he started talking, I'm like, this is exactly what I'm wanting to do. And so I put my hand up and I brought the deal to Casey's attention. Now, I had asked some other people in the community before, but they all wanted to do a lowball wholesale deal, and I didn't want to do that. And the background with the husband and wife is she's the breadwinner. She's out of the home. They've been divorced she's been out of the home for about 18 months. They've been divorced, actually finalized 6 months ago. She pays rent at her sister's house, and she's paying all the bills in the house that her husband's living in. The husband was supposed to pay the mortgage. He didn't pay it. And they also had another side business where they would install appliances, and the husband has refused to work in that. Plus, he also does construction. And so that's how they're in arrears this month. And so all of this communication was just with the wife. And then we bring Casey in, and we did that call. So Casey had me on that Riverside, and he talked to her. And she owns a hairstyling business, so she couldn't talk until she had her break. And then over the weekend, Casey had talked to her Friday, and I listened in. At the end of the conversation, Casey asked me, Corey, do you want to just do this deal yourself, or do you want me to do it? Do you want to partner with me? And I said, listen, I want to learn from you. I would like to partner, even though I'll make less money. I said, I think in the long run, me learning from you will give me more knowledge and also make me more money in the long run. So we went from there. I waited over the weekend, didn't hear anything from them. And then Casey and it was on Tuesday, Casey messaged me that he hadn't heard anything and that I said I would reach out. And on Wednesday, I talked to her, and she told me she wasn't liking the initial offer that Casey had offered, and the sticking point was not only the price, but also was about the Casey getting on the deed and the title. And so I said, well, if we can figure something out, increase the price or come up with a better or explain it to you better and resolve your issues in regards to the title, would you be willing to still, maybe do the deal or talk to us? And she said yes. And she mentioned about getting her husband on the call because he's the sticking point. At the same time, I didn't want to lose the deal. So I was trying to find private money lenders myself, right? Seeing if they didn't like doing this deal, maybe I could just do the initial fourth option where I would get them caught up and then we would sell the house as is, no repairs, and I would get a portion of the deal. So then, as Casey said, we got them on the call on Wednesday. And again, Casey's in Boston, and so I had to say that. And then on the call, Casey brought up the spreadsheet, started talking about that. And I could see that they were still kind of on the fence. And I was like, well, wait a minute. So I started talking and asking them some questions and kind of walking them through. And also I kind of built up Casey. I said, listen, I brought Casey in because I want you guys to get the best bang for your buck. I said, so that you can get more with your situation. I said, I didn't want to give you a lowball offer. And I said, I also am wanting to learn from him and I wanted to make sure that you were taken care of. And me doing that gave them trust and confidence. And I said, you buy for over a couple months, you've been strung along by this other company. I said, I didn't want that for you. And so that's why I brought Casey in. I said, he's done this hundreds of times. And right there on the spot, they agreed to do the deal because we were going to end up getting on another call yesterday. And the husband and Mally said, no, we don't need that. So from there, that's how we ended up doing the deal yesterday, getting them to sign the papers.
Awesome. Yeah, man. Thanks, Corey. Thanks for sharing I think it's a good example too for you guys, like the follow up and as you continue to work it. So awesome. Hey, you know what? I got one and she says she has 5 to 10 minutes. So I am going to go to your question. Actually, Angel, go really quick and Mike, and then I'm going to call this one. And then we're going to go Ernie, Cynthia, Mike, and we're going to hammer out some calls. But go ahead, my man, Angel out in Wyoming, my fellow Wyoming guy. Go ahead.
How's it going?
Good.
So I had a question. How do you guys structure the seller's profit, like in the contract? Because I saw what they were getting adjusted based on the renovation that you're putting into the property, estimated sale value. So like, are they sitting in like a third position, or how did you guys structure the contract?
Yeah, typically, well, guys, and I don't mind sharing some templates. I'll share that later, so we can keep moving. But essentially, it's my purchase contract, and then it says like, hey, here's the breakdown of where all the money is going to go at the end. And then we do a promissory note. So I think what you're asking for, Angel, is we do a simple promissory note saying, hey, when this sells, this is the profit share. And we're very full disclosure, like, hey, there's a chance I only sell this house for a lot less and you could make considerably less. You might not get anything, right? But again, they trust that we're not trying to screw them over, but they got to know, because I got to be protected to where if I'm putting in 100K or my private money lender is, and I'm putting all this money and time and resources, we got to make sure we get paid. So yeah, it's a promissory note. Sometimes we'll secure them with a mortgage, but preferably, honestly, it depends on their sophistication. I prefer a promissory note because a mortgage, they could really be difficult if they wanted to. And then I just don't want to have to get into a legal fight with somebody who's already a little unstable.
What is the verbiage that you use for a structured payout on a promissory note? Like just like a percentage basis? A
table. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. You're like, hey, how do you write this, right? I just say it's a profit share on the back end. And here first is the first thing that gets paid is the sub-2 loan. Second thing gets paid is me on my rehab. Then here are the estimated, and I write that estimated holding costs, which are subject to change. And then it'll be based on the final sales price. And then I say, here's an example based on selling it for $700,000 or X price, right? So that way they've got the table right there. And I did have my attorney review it, right? So this is definitely getting pretty creative, but I think that's enough verbiage, right? If I show them a table and say, here are the order of the payoffs, essentially.
Okay, yeah, because I have a handful of deals in my pipeline that would be perfect for this, because we were structuring our novations a little differently. And if we could just structure, it's like, hey, as long as, like I talked to a guy yesterday out of Houston, and I said, well, there's a third option that I have for you. I go, as long as we, the money that we put in to the rehab, we want to make at least 15% off of that, because we have to get the money to pay our people on that. And then on top of that is another 10,000. and that's just to us. And then you get everything after that. And he was like, I'm really interested in that. Can you send that to me? And I'm like, how do I put this in a contract? And so I've kind of been trying to like figure out ways to do that.
Yeah, man. Let's look at some to care. I'm happy to share it with you. And dude, you do deals in markets that I can help with. So yeah.
Let's do you want a JV on that one?
Yeah. I'd love to, man.
All right.
Send them over.
Yeah, fill out your link.
Clint will share my Clint, if you can share my contact info. Guys, I'm gonna keep moving. But I'm gonna share all the videos, like the full, like this is a full case study, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. Hopefully it's invaluable. But after this call, I'm gonna share the actual raw videos of like me and Corey talking with these guys, and also share the template of the calculator that I showed, and I shared that last week, but I'll share it again. And also I'll share you guys. I don't mind sharing some of the contracts. I'm probably not gonna put those on sub 2, but I'm happy to share that as well. Cool. All right, I'm gonna call this lead right now.
Casey, can I just say one last thing?
Yeah, go quick, because I got to call. This lady told me I got to call her in 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah. So when they said that they didn't like Casey's initial offer, the big sticking point was the promissory note. And I had to explain that, Casey has to protect his risk, right? Because he's putting so much money up front. And Mally was like, well, he's only putting up 50 something thousand. And I'm like, well, no, he's putting up the money for the rehab. And as I was talking to her on Tuesday this week, she was saying, well, Corey, we've got a realtor wants to buy it for 400,000. And then she says, we have another offer for 450,000, but they need time. Then she was also saying that, well, my husband might claim bankruptcy to stop the process. So with all of that coming at me, I did a lot of listening, right? And so I just listened to her and let her say her thing. And then I just said, well, hey, if we can find a way to resolve your fears and make the numbers better, would you be willing to entertain that? And she says yes. And I said, well, can we get on another call where we can explain the money? And at the same time, while I'm talking to her, Casey's messaging me. And so that is how we were able to get all of this to come to a close on the Wednesday night.
Love it. Cool, man. Thanks again for the perspective, Corey. That's good. Hopefully, guys, this is helping you guys. And I'm really hoping you guys can put yourselves in Corey's shoes as you guys are looking for deals and see how you can do this. So super cool. All right. I'm going to call her, then I'll come back to any other questions. All right. So this lead is in Cheyenne. She might not pick up. I might have took too long. It wouldn't be the first to the last time. But anyway, we're going to call her. And basically, guys, I'm going to show you the numbers and share my screen. But Mike found this deal through our No One Left Behind challenge. It's in Cheyenne. It's on the market. Angel's probably already looking at it himself. He's up in Cheyenne too. But anyway, they got another offer, right? But all I'm going to focus on this call is building rapport, because I want to do exactly what Corey did. I want to be the person when this other person backs out on him. I want to be the Robin Hood who comes and saves the day. Okay. So, but Robin Hood might be too late. Let's see.
Hello, this is Tammy.
Hey, Tammy. I know you said you had 5 to 10 minutes. Do you have 5 or how much do I got? I'll be fast. Okay, thanks, Tammy. Okay, anyway, yeah, so it sounds like you guys got another offer. That's congratulations. And you guys signed and executed it?
Yes.
Okay, great news. Cool. And you don't have to tell me everything. I want to be able to be an option for you guys if it does fall through. Would that be appropriate to where?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know if we need to do a formal like backup offer sign. I just want to kind of let you know like what we would be able to do if it does fall through. And honestly, if I don't, well, we flip a lot of houses, right? And I know in their shoes, it's like, this is helpful if they start getting beat up over inspections or, as you know, buyers get shaky. Okay, well, cool. And so I assume you guys got like are they using financing your current buyer?
They are.
Okay.
They are. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Got it. And just curious, did they come close to your guys' asking price or?
Full price.
Oh, great. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, that's good news. Okay. Well, like I said, I definitely wish you guys the best, but wanted to give you another option. So here's what, like, the reason I'm most intrigued in this deal, like, well, let me ask you this. Have you ever sold a property where the existing loan stays in place, especially when it's like low interest? Have you ever done a deal like that?
No.
Okay. Well, that's typically what we've been doing. And again, this is all a moot point, Tammy. If you guys get a full price offer, I mean, do that, right? But this is just helpful for people who want to get full price, but the market isn't giving them full price.
Right.
But what we do is, like, I can pay more for the house, but it's based on that loan, because we did some research. It looks like the rate's like sub 3%. I don't know if you've looked into that, but it's a VA loan. So we're super interested in that part and being able to take that over. Does that make sense?
Yep, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, I know you got to run, but I just want to let you know if your deal falls through, we could do a full price offer, and then we're not going to beat you up on repairs. I do fix and flips in Cheyenne and actually across Wyoming. I grew up in Sheridan, but anyway, so we've got crews. I'm not too worried about little. I don't know. A lot of home buyers don't want to mess with anything, but I've got a crew in my crew's out of Laramie. But anyway, so we'd be pretty flexible there. But our big thing we would need is, and I'll talk you through that, is it's probably premature to start talking about how all the logistics of taking over the loan. You want to just cross that bridge when we get there, or?
Yeah, I think if we get to the point where this, for some reason, falls apart, or we're getting a lot of issues with it, then we can reach out. We can kind of get all those details so I can present them more specifically to them. Because they are very intrigued by what you guys have to offer, and I know this was a route they were going to go or want to go if they didn't get an offer by the end of this month here in November. So
okay, yep, totally. I agree. Okay, well I think I promised I'd be fast, man. 3 minutes and 12 seconds. So anyway, just keep us in mind, and maybe I guess let me ask you this: when is your guys' inspections date? Is it 2 or 3 weeks, or?
it's on the 11th.
11th of November. Okay, so maybe I'll just, if it's okay, if I don't hear from you, I'll probably just shoot you a text or something on the 11th and see how it's going. And the closing date is, off top 29. Okay, awesome. Well, I promise I don't want to jinx you. Best of luck, but definitely let us know if anything happens.
I appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank
Tammy. Okay.
Yep.
Bye. Okay. All right, guys. So yeah, I didn't have time to frame that one up, but yeah, it was. So actually, anybody part of the No One Left Behind challenge? Anybody doing deals or using the LOI blaster? So this is a deal that my team came up with. And Mike was working it, and Mike brought it to me, and finally I was like, all right, this is one we could maybe help with. The challenge on this one will be is they've got a decent amount of equity, and so, but again, I don't have time to dive into that today. We'll dive into that. Hopefully this one will circle back, and I'll show you guys basically how we structure a hybrid, essentially where I take over the loan, and then I give them a little bit of money at first, and then maybe a little bit more over time. Again, it's all a negotiation, which I didn't want to overwhelm her right now. And honestly, she probably would have just tuned it out because she's like probably focused on her current offer. But any questions on that, guys? I just wanted to show you guys a simple, basic example of like the follow-up, right? And even though a deal and let me tell you this, like when she texted me and Mike this morning that she got an offer, I'm like, well, it would have been really nice. Like we were going to call her the other night and we rescheduled it for tomorrow night. It's like, well, would have been nice if you were like about to accept an offer. If you would have said, hey, I'm about to accept an offer. Can you guys fit in a call? But anyway, typical lazy agent. But anyway, I love agents, but not all are created equal. But anyway, rather than me getting mad, and I almost wanted to fire her back like, well, could you at least told us? But it's like, no, don't worry about that. Let it go. Because I'm just telling you, Corey's a perfect example of like deals fall through all the time. And it's way better. Like, I'll tell you this, guys. As far as getting a really good deal, the reason me and Corey, not the only reason, but one of the reasons this deal is so dang good is that first guy was no good and they didn't do what they said. And they now we get to come in and be Robin Hood and save the day, right? But guys, I'm just telling you, if you're patient and you do the follow-up, it just pays off. Anyway, I've been talking a lot, so I know I'm already over my 10 minutes, but I do want to still call Ernie, Cynthia, and Mike's leads. I meant to tell you guys to tee them up really quick, but Angel's right. So any questions though before I go to those calls? Yep, you're exactly. Chart Buck, how much down do you give them? So Buck, good question. On a hybrid, when they have lots of equity, man, that question is completely dependent upon the seller, right? Like, and that's why I was kind of hesitant to really dive in. But like, and sometimes it just depends on the numbers, right? If they got a low enough mortgage, sometimes I've given people 50,000, right? And I'll use a private money lender to come up with that. And because if their 3% loan is paired with a 12% private money loan, it still might cash flow after all that's said and done, right? You just got to kind of model out those numbers, and you got to know their situation, right? Like there's sometimes people, they're like, I don't mind if you take over my 2.75% loan, but I got to get 50K. And if that's the case, then we got to underwrite that deal and see if we can make it work based on that. But it's all in the negotiation in the deal, right? It's very deal specific.
Is it the same with like the monthly payments as well? Because I know sometimes I've tried to structure them in the past to be less than like what hard money would cost. Is it the same situational? Depends on the seller as far as the payments they're looking for as well?
Yeah, and this is a question Mike's been having too, and I'll just answer it for Mike as well. Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. I'm just telling you, if they've got a ton of equity and they expect it all out, it makes it challenging. And again, it's only going to work in scenarios where they have a really low payment. But again, you could play with those variables, right? Like maybe you just say, hey, I'm not going to make any payments. That's the beauty of this, guys. If you have learned anything from sub 2, you could structure this however the heck you want. And because, well, the beauty, usually you want to do this without an agent. The only challenge is on my deal I'm talking about, I got to freaking work through an agent, right? But if you're working directly with a seller, it's just like, how much do you need? How much per month do you need? Or do you have to, I don't know. It's all in the language, right?
Yeah.
And how you
Awesome. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate it.
You bet. Okay. Ernie, is your guy ready?
I told him that you'd call. Sorry, I'm eating
Cool.
breakfast.
All good, man.
But it's the one on Ridge. It's on your lead list.
Okay, cool. All right,
14
I might pop that one down just based on time. Is that cool with you? Or
No, that's fine.
Did you
It's
promise
like
them I
four-
call them now?
It's a pretty long one. It's like there's like 4 properties that she's trying to push onto us, and one of them is a potential for either a novation or a fix and flip.
Cool. All right.
Mhm.
Well, if it's okay, Ernie, I might push that one back here. I know
It's
Ernie's
totally
my
fine.
man. Cool.
Totally fine.
All right. Just to get to these other ones, and I got to get back downstairs.
All good.
Okay, go ahead. But Cynthia, go ahead with yours though. I do want to still call yours. Go ahead, Cynthia. Cynthia might have had to hop in on another call. While we're waiting on Cynthia, Mike, let me know how you pronounce your last name. Kemick or Simic? Kemick?
It's
Kimok?
Simoke.
Simoke.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I kind of caught up. I listened to like some of your recordings from the previous ones, but I do have a deal that I don't think it's necessary to call right now, but maybe I could send you the more information. It's through a realtor. She hasn't listed it yet. The lady was like inherited the property, and I got it appraised. I got like a verbal agreement for like she'll do like 800,000 on it, and I got it appraised because it's just like it's kind of an odd house for the area, but it's so otherwise I would have bought it and flipped it in a heartbeat, but it's just a little bit nichey the way that it's built, but it really just needs a roof and just some cleanup. So it got appraised for $1 million, and we got a verbal for 800, and I can't see so I just kind of want to work through that. I don't know what else. I guess I could forward information to your
do you this one
whatever.
this is a I mean you've been in contact with the agent to confirm?
So the agent's my friend, and she has brought me several deals this year that I've done flips on those deals that she's brought me. So I guarantee, I know she'll be fine if we were able to take this on, do like the the novation, and just use her as the listing agent on the back end.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would love to talk that one through, and we could pull it up. I mean, do you feel comfortable sharing? I could look it up right now really quick.
Yes, absolutely.
Let me share my screen. I'm just going to tell everybody my feed because this looks like a potential revive method. Go ahead. What's the address?
Just click out of here real quick.
And Carlos, your question about pulling lists, man, my quick answer would be both. I think it's state to state, but somebody else can chime in on. Carlos had a good question about pulling pre-foreclosure lists to the county, but honestly, pull both. But you might market it. You might change your marketing to each list. But I always say the more data, the better. Go ahead though, Chris.
Let me know
or
when
Mike.
you're ready.
Ready.
You ready? 19602 Green Cove Court.
What city?
It's in Loxahatchee, Florida. I'm sorry, Green Grove Court, Loxahatchee.
Green Grove Court. Okay. Night Green. Oh, okay. 19602 lots of edge. That looks like it. Okay. Cool. So it needs a it needs a roof. Yeah. Anyway, and it's not okay. So it's not on the market. Your agent just knows it's like a kind of a.
Yeah, my agent has like a sales contract or something on it.
Okay.
But she hasn't listed it yet. The lady's still like waiting she's waiting on a few things to be able to finalize it, but she's really kind of like holding her off for me to figure something out because I really wanted to flip it, but it's just like I said, it's a really beautiful home. It's custom cabin style house. It's kind of odd for like the area, but it's on a 5-acre lot next to the equestrian capital of the world here in near Wellington. So there's big calling for equestrian and all that kind of stuff.
Got it. Okay, man. So here's what I would do, and this would be awesome for next Friday if you could tee it up, man. But I would love to talk to the seller and the agent, or maybe just if your friend will just let us talk to the seller. But regardless, we want to have the seller on there. My thought is this is not a bad novation at all because we might just say, hey, if we can get you 800,000, I would say I can get you 800,000. Here's my thing is I just need 60 days, right? And I might even tell them, hey, I'll get you 810 or 815, right? Because if the appraised value is 1 million, then great. And then what you could do is that person can go market it. It's a perfect novation, right? Then they can
Yeah,
go market it, and then go ahead.
No, I was just saying the appraiser appraised it exactly as it sits, not with anything that I planned on doing or anything. So
Oh,
I
nice,
think
man.
that we could get a little more, obviously with a new roof and stuff.
Yeah, and that's where I would tee it up, man. And I would price it, yeah, because if she's good at 800, you could take all the risk out of it and basically novate it and get the contract. Say, I'll get you 800 in 60 days, and say, but here's the thing: is I'm going to be flipping this, and be full disclosure, right? Like, guys or seller, I'm going to I'm just going to call it Mike. So Mike, I'm going to flip your house, right? But I can pay you 815 actually. I can get more than your 800. But to get you 815, I just need 60 days, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my end buyer. I'm going to go replace the roof. I'm probably going to, and I would list out some other little things that you could do that are like kind of low cost or whatever. And then say, but the way you frame it up, and this, if I could do this call with you, I'm going to frame it up as say, hey Mike, do you need all the money like in 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Or if I got it to you in 60 days and actually got you 815, would waiting 60 days be worth $15,000 to you? And most of the time, people, unless they're in our situation that we talked about at the beginning of the call, they could wait.
Yeah, she's got time for sure, because she owns and lives in the property next door. So she's really what she wants to do is sell this one and then use that money to, find another place, and then she's going to eventually sell the other one. So that's where we're at.
Cool, man. Yeah, so I would do it. I would do it all day. And yeah, that's a perfect one. So man, I would love, and I think would that be a helpful call for you guys to hear me kind of navigate? If Mike can get her on the phone for next week, or is next week, and if it's if it's like a time sensitive thing, this sounds like a really good deal. I'll even do it, and we can just record it for everybody if you want.
Okay.
I'll let you make that call. Just reach out to me, Mike, and I'll shoot you my email here down for everybody else too. Actually, do you have Instagram, Mike?
Yep.
All right. I'm going to put my Instagram. So, all right, cool. All right, guys. Well, I do have to wrap it up. So I know we didn't call as many people today, but was it helpful, everybody, to go through like that case study and really break it down and show you like the next steps and how we're actually going to close it? I just liked it. Good. Okay. Well, I'm hoping that was my kind of thought is, man, I'm glad Corey kind of explained the detail and like what it looks like for you guys to go put deals together. But I'm going to continue to challenge you guys. Try to go find off-market deals. Try to find stuff like even the one Mike just gave, like that one's not listed for everybody to see, right? Mike has a relationship with the agent. So like that's as good, that might as well be off-market, right? And technically it's not on the MLS, but where guys, it just gets hard to close deals is the ones that are on the MLS. So I want to challenge you guys to go find off-market deals. And if you don't know where to start, I'm going to have Clint share with me here in just a second. Clint, can you share the form to go start helping cold calling and working leads? Because guys, I do a ton of marketing in my direct to seller company, and I've had probably over 30 students now who have came in and helped like either cold calling or they're working one of my lists. So if you guys just don't know anything but sending out stuff to agents, then let me know and fill out this form I'm going to share with you guys here in a second, and then you guys can help there. And then kind of the last kind of housekeeping things, guys, if you did enjoy today, I'm going to go post. It'll probably be later today. I want to post the videos from the last couple weeks on like how we broke down these deals. And I want to show you all, as I mentioned, I want to show you all the details so you guys can go watch it if you want on Corey's deal. And exactly like you can literally hear us negotiating, talking to the seller, walking through that template. So if that's helpful, guys, go check out the Facebook group, and I'm going to post it in there. But here's my ask, guys. What I want you to do is go in there and comment on it, or maybe share it. Or you guys can just go make a completely different post if you guys had maybe you had a different takeaway from this week or the last week. But guys, when you share that and you tag other people, it's tremendously helpful to get more people into these calls. Because at the end of the day, guys, I want to be able to help more and more of you. And the more people that come on, the more deals we work, everybody benefits from that, right? Corey came on this call, his second one ever, and brought up a deal. And now, I mean, it sounds like everybody got tremendous value from me calling that lead and us working the process. So anyway, please guys, please share this on Facebook. Let us know your takeaways, tag people. And the last one is bring people next week, right? I'll let you know between now and then if it's private money, but it's looking like we're going to talk about private money. But I want you guys to go find a newbie, right? This is an opportunity for you to go out and connect with more people in sub 2, which if you guys aren't already doing that, that's one of the most powerful things you can do in this community is network and find other people. So if we can kill 2 birds with 1 stone and you can go meet somebody new and bring them to the Zoom call, it helps me. And the last thing I do, guys, is every week I do this, whoever brings the most new people, I do like a 30-minute one-on-one, like just breaking down whatever you need. If it's breaking down a deal, if it's mindset, if it's how do I go direct to seller, if it's how do I go pull a pre-foreclosure list, whatever you need help with, I'm going to give you 30 minutes of my time because I just want to, I guess, again, guys, I want to encourage you to bring more and more people. All right.
Hey, Casey.
Go ahead.
Hey, Casey, in the future Zooms, can you turn on the save chat feature? Because there's a lot of good information in today's chat, but we can't save it.
Okay, good point. All right. Yeah. Let me, you know what? All those people are downstairs. I'm going to go ask them exactly how I make sure to do that.
I don't think you can change it once it's going. I think you have to set that up prior to the start of the Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, I'll ask him that. That's a great point.
Thanks.
Man,
that would be great.
Absolutely.
Great stuff today.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys liked it. We were hour and a half, potent, jam-packed stuff, guys. So I appreciate everybody coming in. And yeah, feel free. We'll go connect on Facebook, guys.
Hey, Casey, real quick, the time change coming up. So just want to make sure that everyone's aware.
Good point. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Clint. That's why I pay Clint the big bucks. He doesn't let me forget about important stuff like that. So next week is daylight savings. So if you guys haven't heard, Arizona does not do that. So next week it will be if you're in Central Time where I start, it's going to be starting at 10 a.m. Central, right? So if you're on the West Coast, that means 8 a.m. is when it's starting. And if you're on the East Coast, you'd be 11 o'clock. So make sure you guys pay attention to the time change next week. All right, guys, appreciate it. Thanks for all the feedback in the chat. And yeah, go share this with somebody else in sub too. And if you guys aren't following me on Instagram, check me out. I'm here at Owners Club for the next couple days, sharing tons of stuff. Guys, you think this is powerful in these Zooms? Like eventually, like you guys got to go to places like Squad Up and be surrounded by people because I'm really energized right now because I'm down there with like 200 other real estate investors and Pace and everybody, and it's super energizing. So if you're not there, check out my stories and you guys can get a little insights into what you guys are missing, and maybe we'll see you guys in the next event.
What city are you in?
Boston. Cool. All right, guys, I'll sign out. Hey, everybody have a good Friday.